to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some more cryptic messages that are coming out from Yannick Ngakoue, or however you may pronounce it. Now, let me get started and say this. Some people gave me a little backlash on the last one I made and said that he's posted pictures of him going to he's posted pictures of great Kansas City Chiefs as well, or whoever he posted outside of Lawrence Taylor, who I made a video on, that he kind of was hinting that he may be interested with the New York Giants. And that's valid. And maybe I should have talked about that. Now, there's an Instagram post where Ngakoue now is really, in my opinion, at least hinting that he wants to be a New York Giant. Now, in my opinion, it's incredibly likely that he's trying to drive up the price, which I've been pretty consistent with from the start. Now, of course, he will go to the highest bidder, in my opinion. If the Giants offer him the most money, he knows that the New York Giants are desperate for a pass rusher. He's not dumb. This is a business decision. The other thing I'll report on is that the Jacksonville Jaguars have announced that they plan to franchise tag this guy, and I will show you guys that in a second. Reports came out yesterday that the Jacksonville Jaguars plan to franchise Ngakoue if they cannot sign a long-term extension. However, if you go back to last year, there were 3 times where a player was franchised, he didn't want to play there, and he was traded. As a matter of fact, there was a player on the Jaguars last year, not that he was franchised, but he displayed that he did not want to be there any longer, Jalen Ramsey, and they traded him. And Jalen Ramsey, in my opinion, is a more important player than Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue is great, and if the New York Giants get him, I'm sure New York Giants fans will be very enthusiastic, being that we need a pass rusher, being that this guy's been incredibly consistent. I love him as a player. He may be a little bit overpriced in my opinion, but I love him as a player, and I wouldn't rule out the possibility of acquiring him in a tag and trade scenario. Like I said, that's become more and more popular over the last couple of years, where teams try to get something in return for Yannick. Now, am I giving up a first-round pick? Absolutely not. But if the right deal presents itself, it's certainly possible. Or Ngakoue, of course, could threaten to hold out. And we're going to get into this Instagram post in a second that Yannick posted, and Stefon Diggs was involved as well. Now, we all know that Stefon Diggs is not shy of trying to stir up controversy as well. I remember earlier this year where the New York Giants played the Minnesota Vikings, Diggs was kind of hinting that he may not want to play for the Vikings any longer with Kirk Cousins, but this is becoming more and more likely that Yannick is at least becoming a distraction for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, does that mean that they will pay him? Maybe he's doing this just to get paid. We don't know. But from the Jaguars, he may want to stay with the Jaguars, and he's doing this to try to drive up the price. But my guess is he wants out. He wants to get the biggest contract he possibly can get, and he views the New York Giants as a potential landing spot. But let's jump into the Instagram post. Let's jump into what Yannick had to say. And here it is, short and simple. And I want to give a quick shout out to some of my best subscribers. New York Giants Pride on Twitter pointed me to this, as well as in my Discord, Andy Garcia, who's a great subscriber of mine, always gives me ideas for videos, and I wanted to shout both them out. They pointed me to it, and now it's, all over Twitter, and people are talking about it. And unfortunately, this is where a lot of people get their news. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't have insider information. I'm not an NFL expert. I'm not a guy on ESPN, but a lot of people get their news nowadays like this, and players, you have to take into account of the age of these individuals. A lot of these guys are very active on social media, and they display cryptic tweets. We saw this all the time with Odell Beckham. But this is what Yannick had to say. Know who you are. Remind yourself. #God. And, to that, I would have never even thought anything of it. Then Stefon Diggs replies, NYG, of course, short for New York Giants, to which Yannick put up, the eye emoji, as if to say, I see you, whatever. I'm not a kid, okay? I'm an adult, but I know that the eye thing, he's making attention to what Stefon Diggs said. Stefon Diggs is hinting that he wants to be a New York Giant, and Yannick, in so many words, you could at least argue, is agreeing with that point, and definitely highlighting what Stefon Diggs had to say. He could have deleted that. He could have not responded. And then this is what I wanted to pull up in regard to him being franchised. This is what the NFL Trade Rumors posted, and it was all over Twitter. It wasn't just NFL Trade Rumors. It was all over the internet. Report increasingly likely the Jaguars will franchise Yannick Ngakoue. So the Jaguars are trying to keep this guy at all costs. They said it was their number one objective this offseason We'll see if they stay true to that. But Yannick is at least trying his best, in my opinion, to get out of Jacksonville. Now, the reason he wants to get out of Jacksonville, it's simple. Last year, they had the ability to pay him, and they didn't. They offered him a big contract, which would have made him, I think, the third or fourth highest paid defensive end in football, but supposedly the guaranteed money wasn't there and the years weren't there. I think it was a 3-year deal. He decided to hold out, play 1 year, earn his money. That's what he did. He stayed healthy. He had about an 8-sack season, and because of that, he's going to hit the open market, and he wants to be probably the highest paid defensive end or pass rusher in the sport. That's my guess of what he wants. Whether or not he will get that, that remains to be seen. But he certainly thinks, it certainly seems to be that the New York Giants seem to be the team that he thinks could give him the money and the team that he seems to be at least showing he is most interested in going to. Now, the reason why he's most interested, that's for you to debate. Maybe it's a lifelong dream of his to be a New York Giant and he idolizes Lawrence Taylor. Or maybe, and in my opinion, the more realistic reasoning would be that he thinks that the New York Giants would be willing to give him the most money out there on the open market and sees them as the most attractive option of teams with cap space that are in desperate need of a pass rusher. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but Yannick Ngakoue, if that's how you pronounce it, continues to stir up cryptic tweets or Instagram messages through social media, and he definitely has his eye on free agency, that's for sure, and he has his eye on the highest bidder, and the highest bidder may very well be the New York Giants. We'll have to wait and see. Ngakoue's still very young. He's only 24. He'll be 25, maybe 26 next year, and he'd fill a big hole. And he'd set us up for the draft, which is what Mara's had to say. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.